Hi, thank you for joining me for today's process video, and you'll see there I just showed you quickly where I managed to mess up my photo when I was putting it through my small guillotine trimmer. Some black ink managed to get on it, so that sort of dictated the shape that I'm going to create with this page. I needed to use the other photo that was unharmed to cover that smear. Now it was in the sky, so it wasn't anything that I minded covering over. So I'll just talk a bit about the photos. These are two photos from our recent cruise. We stopped at a stop in France which was meant for Bordeaux, but Bordeaux is quite a long way away from the stop. Excuse me, losing my voice this morning. So we just used the free shuttle bus from the boat to go to Sulac-sur-Mer, which was close by, just a little seaside village, and had a wander through. It was just me, Ross and James. Amelia went with my sister and her family on this trip, so it was just the three of us, and we just had an hour there. It was really pretty and fun to get out. So you saw the shape that I'm creating. I pulled out two tags from my stash. I've talked about this in a previous video. I've just got a little photo box full of tags from collections. When I've finished a collection and I'm breaking it down, I'll cut the tags up and put them in that box, and they have been sitting languishing, and I'm determined to pull them out from time to time and use them now, because otherwise it's just going to keep building. So I've got those two tags, the two photos, and I found a title from my Pretty Little Studio, You Are My Sunshine, and that's the collection I'm going to be using today, but no pattern papers. I'm just going to create an inked background and then use the ephemera pieces for this. So you can see I've pulled out my stamp set, the brushstroke stamp set from Hey Little Magpie, and I'm just using the largest, almost square shape to create strips across the page. I used a pencil first of all to trace where the photos and tags are going to go, just so that I wasn't wasting my time stamping right the way across the page, and then I can just add these on either side. So I started with the middle stamp because I've got 5, so I wanted to start centrally so that it wasn't off, I wasn't stamping towards the top of the page and not at the bottom, and then I'm going up and down from that. So the middle stamped ink was Spice Marmalade. These are all Tim Holtz Distress Oxide inks. Then above that I've used Saltwater Taffy. The top red is Candied Apple. And then this yellow is Fossilised Amber, and then at the bottom I use Stormy Sky, but it's definitely too grey for me, so I come in with Salty Ocean on top of that just to brighten it up a little bit. And these colours have been chosen from the You Are My Sunshine collection because I knew they were the bits and pieces that I was going to use. And like I say, no pattern paper on this apart from the tags that have been cut from a pattern paper, I suppose. I'm just using an inked background and then my ephemera pieces. So here's that Stormy Sky, and you can see it's a really dull blue, so I'm just bringing in Salty Ocean now. And I didn't want to try and put it exactly over the Stormy Sky because it never works well when I try and line things up. So I'm just offsetting it so that both of the colours show through. Now I wanted to create layers on the background, so I'm just going to bring the photos back in. I've got my pencil lines to show me where they're going, and just check that I'm happy with the positioning so far. Straight away I can see that I've brought the stamping in too far to the right on the left hand side, so it looks a little bit off centre at the moment because those blocks top left stepped in because I was following the pencil lines and not thinking about what I was doing. So I'm going to bring in a stencil. I just wanted a stencil with a small pattern on it, and I'm going to do tone on tone using the same inks blending through the stencil. And you can see how, because the inks create a darker colour when they're blended on, it shows really nicely on top of that stamping. And this is where I can adjust the shape on the background, so I can pull the stenciling out to the left on that left hand side just to even everything up a little bit. So you can see I'm moving the stencil from left to right, because I wanted to have the full length of the stencil to use the different colours of ink without having to wash it. That's why I did it that way. Alternatively, you could turn it so that it was the other way round, horizontal, and then that would probably stretch a bit further across the page, but this is the way I chose to do it. So you can see I've not got many blending brushes. I use the red one for the red and pink. I just blot it off on some, you can see there, on some kitchen towel, and the same with the orange and yellow. I'm using the same brush and just blending that through. I'm trying to line up the designs as I go, but I'm not too precious about that because it's not a solid block of stenciling. it strips, so that's fine. So for this bottom blue piece, I'm going to start with the Stormy Sky and then come in with Salty Ocean afterwards, just because the Salty Ocean is very, very bright. It also stains. I've got it up my arm. I do some splattering shortly and I managed to splatter it everywhere. It's just crazy. I think this ink just hates me. But there I am, just putting it on at the bottom. Almost there with the stenciling now, and then I am going to add some splatters as well. So first of all, I just wanted to distress the edges of my photo just to provide a little bit of definition, because as I say, I'm not using any pattern papers or indeed just plain paper either. I just wanted them to go straight on the page. Because those tags have got the white grid, there was no need to add some pattern paper behind. So there are the two photos in place. Now I'm going to add the tags. So the same thing, just distressing the edges and making sure I punch those holes, because I'm going to add some twine and some ribbon to those. And I really like this one because it's got the seagulls on, which I thought worked well with the seaside theme. We are at the seaside. We're on the promenade. We went to go down and have a look at the beach, but it was closed. So the promenade had to do. At least we didn't get sand in everything, I suppose. So here I noticed that I've got a little white gap to the right of the tag. So I'm just coming in with a little bit more stenciling just to fill in that gap. And once I've finished, you won't notice it at all. It still looks quite stark at the moment, but I'll be adding more bits and pieces. So here's that yellow tag that's going on the right-hand side, filling in that white gap there underneath the top photo. Forgot to punch the hole, so just going back to do that. And then getting that tucked under there. So this is my title. I'm going to pop it up on some foam just so that it stands proud above that photo of James. So I'm just cutting up, these are the Sticks to 25mm foam pads, and I'm just cutting them into quarters just so that I can dot them across this title at the back. And that will allow the title to curl up slightly on the edges as well, just to create a bit of texture. So here I am, now I've got it straight, just pulling those backings off and getting it stuck down. And then I just wanted to add some ink blending at the top and bottom. I felt like it just stopped. So I've just grabbed what was left on the brushes and used the red at the top and the blue at the bottom. And I'm really happy with that halo effect that I get from that. It just stops the blockiness of those strips that I've got going across. So I wanted to add my journaling to this tag. This is one of the reasons why I chose the tags with the grid, just so that I could write some journaling on there. And then I'm going into the You Are My Sunshine ephemera pieces. I think this is the Lemonade Mix pack, and I'm trying to go tone on tone. So I pulled a red tab out for the top. That's going to hold my date, and then little orange butterfly, and then I spot this lemon. Now this is going at the bottom on the blue, but I just wanted something to hold that title on really. Little ice cream. We didn't have ice creams, but there were ice creams at the place. And then actually when we went back on board, we did go and have some ice creams in the afternoon. So a little nod to the ice cream there. And just gluing all these bits down. Like I say, trying to go tone on tone. I spotted this little banner and I thought that would work nicely underneath the Chasing Summer title. And then a little bee going on the yellow, and another little butterfly going on the yellow as well. Now I did find this cupcake, but it was just a step too far. If you know me, you know that I'm not that keen on using things that don't relate to my photos, so it does restrict me a lot, and I try and fight against it, but sometimes it's just too much. So here's some American seam binding. It's not been pre-crinkled, this one, so I just quickly scrunched it up in my hand, and then I'm just gluing it down to the page. And crinkling it up as I go. I just wanted it to trail down to the left, just to try and balance things out, because it's quite heavy on the right at the moment, this layout. So there we go, that's how it's going to sit on the page. I'm happy with that. And then I decide to add the date before I forget to do that to that tab. And then gluing these other bits down, which haven't gone down yet. I also want to add some twine to that right-hand tag. So I just grabbed this linen thread, which is in my desk drawer that I work on. And I'm just tying that through the tag. And then I'm going to use my Tim Holtz tiny attacher to staple those tails down. And I do actually trim those off because they're a little bit too long for me. So now just sticking down that banner. I've left the flags to run free. I've just added the glue to the string piece. And then just going around and gluing down the bits that I've forgotten to glue down. Got that lovely navy blue heart on the blue section there as well. So here's where I'm trimming off those threads that were just a little bit too long. So next into these word strips, and again I'm trying to go tone on tone, so just going through and finding suitable phrases. This one says berry sweet, this one is vacation, I've got enjoy in red at the top, soaking in the sun on the pink section, explore on the blue and happiness, morning on the orange and fun on the yellow. Like I say, just going around and finding words that will work with what we were doing and adding those. And this is one of the reasons why I chose the inks that I did, because they work so beautifully with these colours. The only exception probably is the candied apple because it's more of a pinky red. It's a very deep pink. I could have used pink raspberry, but I don't think it was really deep enough. So I've no regrets about using that red. So next in with these star stickers, I love these and I just thought they would be a really nice addition as well. So once again, on the whole, trying to go tone on tone. So I've got blue here. On the blue, I've added a yellow here to the left. And I hadn't realised when I was pulling this one off that it's actually got the centre cut out. So that was quite cute. And then another one to the left of that. And then the oranges on the orange section. I was struggling a bit more for the pinks, but I managed to find a few. And then the pinky reds at the top. So when I'd added all these, I really wanted to get some black in there. I considered using my In Stitches stamps from Hey Little Magpie, but first of all, I'm going to add some splatters to see if that works for me. So again, going tone on tone, so just pulling out the candied apple and adding those splatters across that red piece, and then saltwater taffy for the pink, and so on and so forth, right the way down the page. It won't make you watch all of this. It's just the same thing right the way down. So pulling those bits off, I realised that I definitely want to add something else. So I'm going to pull in my directions stamp, and there are some little arrow chevron type pieces that I'm just going to add with my archival ink, just to bring that black into the page, and that really ties it all together. Very happy with how that looks. I just wanted to, not loads, just a little bit of black, and having these arrows all pointing into the photos just works perfectly. So I hope you've enjoyed this and this has inspired you to pull out your ephemera as well as your papers. Don't let that go neglected. Sometimes it's fun just to work with the ephemera pieces and leave the paper to do its own thing for another time. Thank you so much for joining me, and I shall see you again very soon. Bye.